Hey everyone, my name is John. This is Guitar Pickup Database, and today we are looking at the Immortal pickup set by Blackfire Pickups. So, a quick aside, I used the Friedman IR-X for all the guitar tones on that intro demo. This thing is super cool. If you've been looking into them, I definitely recommend getting one. Everyone's been talking about Channel 2, but man, Channel 1 really sounds good, especially if you're generally a plugin user and you want to try out some hardware. This is the way to go. So, quick story first about how I came upon this brand, because it's kind of insane how everything came together to make this happen. A few months ago, I was talking with my parents, and as parents do when their kid has a hobby like music, they tend to let you know when they meet anyone that does anything similar to you. They start telling me about this neighbor of theirs that they met at an event, and how apparently he plays guitar and used to be in a band. And I kind of nodded along, and I wasn't taking it very seriously because it feels like everyone who's ever picked up a guitar before has been in a band. But then my dad said, yeah, apparently he hangs out with some famous musicians. Have you heard of Steel Panther? Apparently they were at the golf course with him.
What?
So now you've got my attention. They told him about the pickup side I was working on, and he said he had some things he wanted to chat about. We set up a time to meet, and I get to the house, and I can already tell this guy is serious. Nice guitars everywhere. Turns out he was in a rock band in the 80s, used to have a guitar shop, is currently a dealer for most major brands, and was a much better guitar player than I was. As we're chatting, he just picks up this little black box and casually says to me, "Hey, do you know who Gus G is?" Oh, Gus, yeah, Gus G. I think I've heard of Gus G before. So we start talking about how he's good friends with Gus, and he's helping him with the distribution of Blackfire Pickups. All of a sudden, he's like, well, why don't we Facetime him? And before my brain can even process that sentence, Gus G is literally on Facetime with us. I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was definitely something nerdy about pickup magnets, but the chemical composition of Alnico or something stupid like that. Regardless, Gus was super nice and chatted with us for a bit. Long story short, Gus G literally gave me these pickups, which is just amazing to even say out loud. Huge thank you to Gus, and also my parents' neighbor who really made this happen. Also, if you don't know who Gus G is, all I need to tell you is that he played in Ozzy Osbourne's band for many years, and if you don't know who Ozzy Osbourne is, then I can't really help you. He's also a founding member of Firewind and has his own solo projects. Firewind actually has a new album coming out on March 1st called Stand United, which you should definitely check out. He's a guitar legend. If you didn't know that before, now you know. Now let's talk about Blackfire Pickups. Gus G started Blackfire a few years ago to create what he envisioned as his perfect pickups. Before that, he worked with several other manufacturers and even had his own signature Seymour Duncan pickup set. Now, Blackfire pickups are what you'll see him using. They also come in his signature Jackson guitars. I'm not huge on the X shape, but man, that candy apple red San Dimas is gorgeous. Blackfire Pickups currently sells two models, the Immortal and the Proteus. The Proteus is more similar to Gus's previous Seymour Duncan set, which were essentially a half-style pickup paired with an active preamp to push them into insanity. His Seymour Duncans use the blackout system, but Blackfire has their own preamp. However, the Immortal set is much closer to a modern metal metal pickup. Before we get to the specs, let's take a closer look at the pickups themselves. On the outside, we've got a classic double black bobbin, but they also come in white. The Blackfire logo is a metallic silver print that looks nearly identical to how Seymour Duncan applies their logos. The bobbin itself is pretty flat across the top. I do prefer a bit of roundover on the edges to add some dimensionality to the pickup, but that's just personal preference. We also have a single screw design with 6 screws and 6 slugs. From the side, you can see some of the internals of the pickup. Something you notice immediately when you compare this to a standard pickup is the bobbins are much taller. This will be important to note when we get to the specs. You can also see that the slugs are much taller too. We've got a fairly substantial ceramic magnet in both the bridge and neck pickup. I also appreciate that they added supports to the sides of both bobbins. Not all companies do that, and without those, over time the bobbins can become unaligned. These should be bulletproof. On the bottom, we've got nickel-silver base plates. There's also a sticker providing the pickup model and branding. On the positive side, I love that they actually provided the model information. This probably isn't an issue for many of you, but for someone like me with hundreds of pickups at this point, not having good labeling makes it really difficult for me to manage the inventory. On a less positive note, I would have liked to see the branding engraved or stamped into the base plate like many other companies do. This has nothing to do with the sound, but it just levels up the perceived quality. There's only a few things you can do to elevate a pickup, and the base plate is one of those spots. Now, this is going to sound beyond super nerdy and nitpicky, but I want to point out one last critique, which is the keeper bar. Looking at this part, it appears to be some kind of pot metal and overall lower quality than I would expect from a typical keeper bar I find in other pickups. Now, will this have an effect on tone? Well, sort of, but not necessarily positive or negative, just different and very minimal. I only point this out because there are so few parts that go into a pickup, and every one of those parts is worth looking at. Overall though, these are solid pickups. Now, let's look at the specs and measurements. From a design perspective, both pickups are identical except for the amount of wire on each pickup. You might be looking at the bridge pickup and think, 10.4K doesn't seem that high. However, remember when I said that the coils were taller than most? Just like the DiMarzio Mirage and Titan, we're looking at 42 gauge wire. 10.4K at 42 gauge wire is actually closer to what most people expect a 15 to 16K pickup to be, so this is actually super hot even before we consider the large ceramic magnet. This is why it's so important to know what wire gauge is being used when discussing DC resistance. When I started looking at the specs of the bridge, I started seeing a ton of similarities with the Seymour Duncan Distortion. When we compare these pickups together, even though they seem different, they actually have nearly identical resonance curves when matched. However, the coils of the Immortal actually produce more output than the Distortion. The Distortion's magnet is slightly bigger, but the larger point here is that the Distortion is a good example of what to compare this pickup to. The Immortal neck pickup was pretty unique. I haven't measured anything that compared to it exactly, but I want to show you it compared to another neck pickup that's commonly used in metal guitars, the Seymour Duncan Sentient. Now, these are not similar pickups, but I want to use this as an example to show you what you could expect from it. You can see that both of these pickups have the same peak frequency at 2.8 kHz. However, the Immortal's peak is substantially louder. This will lead to it cutting through a dense mix much more than the Sentient. However, it's also going to have less bass. So think less fat path neck tone and more cutting leads. This tends to provide a benefit for higher gain tone, but can make the cleans suffer a bit. With that, let's listen to some audio examples in each position. The bridge pickup was set to 2.5mm from the high and low E, while the neck was set to 4mm from the high and low E. So, what did you hear? While the cleans felt a bit brittle to me, these clearly are not jazz pickups. I thought they really shined once gain was added. The crunch tone in the bridge and middle position was really great, and as for those heavy tones, yeah, these things can chug. Honestly, that heavy tone was pretty gnarly. I honestly should have turned the gain down a bit, but it was just too much fun. I didn't put the split sounds in the audio examples, but in the intro demo, I used both pickups split in the third section, and they just had this bell-like chime that I really loved. Overall, I enjoyed these pickups. If you're interested in them, you can check them out at blackfirepickups.com. Thank you to everyone who stuck around until the end, and we'll see you in the next video.